The local and the national actually, they interact, and that's the whole point of governance. You know, you can't accept that with, for example, a local council election, which we're intending to fight and win next year, national economic situations, of course, they affect it. And to do with the amount of ill health there is, the issues with mental health for kids, all of those are national issues. But it's what you can do about it. And this is about making sure that you're not defining what you're against, which is very easy to be angry. You know, we don't like this, we don't like that, there's a genocide going on. We should be angry about that because it's horrific. But it's about what are we going to do about it? And once you say, we need a plan, because if we're going to go to people and say, not agree with us that you should be angry, but vote for us because this is what we're going to do, you have to be able to say what you're going to do. And that's the whole point of a manifesto event. When you start to bring together a manifesto, it brings into sharp focus, how do we deliver for the people? And the best way is to have the people right at the heart of it. Because if you want to know how to speed up the buses, ask a bus driver. They do it for a living every day. When I was North of Tyne mayor, I ran a citizens' assembly on climate change. And it was 51 people selected at random. They met for 35 hours over a period of some months. And they got to choose their own experts, gather their own evidence, and come up with their own conclusions. And I said before that, I will implement your recommendations before I've even seen them. But they come in three categories. There are those that I will have the power and the funds to do. And we ran climate education in schools. We had a load of zero carbon, zero poverty initiatives around local growing of food, rewilding back lanes. Loads of really good stuff has happened in the North of Tyne, my leadership on that. And I said the second category, where I can work with others to make it happen, I'm not in control of it. And so that was working with local councils. And it included like building on brownfield sites, but we made sure that every home that was built had solar panels, either district heating or air source heat pumps, all the things that keep people's bills down and deal with the climate emergency and support local companies, all the good stuff there. A whole range of projects that were those collaborations, and set up Net Zero North East England to support that. And then there's that third category of things that, look, I might not have the power to do this. If you look at something like COP, you know, a regional mayor has no influence in COP. I said, but what I guarantee I will do is I'll stand and I'll lobby. So on Gaza, I was probably one of the first, if not the first, people who was elected at the time and in power, not in opposition, I was in power, who actually came out and stood against it. And likewise on the Extinction Rebellion work, all the rest of it. But you also have the power to negotiate. And most people don't. They write performative letters. It is terrible that the government has done this. And they try and get it in the paper to make themselves look good. I was working behind the scenes, negotiated the best funded Devo deal in the country, got 6.1 billion quid out of the Tory government for the powers and the money to take control of the public transport system. And had I been re-elected, it was going to be free for everybody under 18 and all students and fully integrated. So one ticket gets you right across the lot. So there are always a way. But let's suppose we take control of Newcastle City Council next year and the Labour government isn't going to stump up the cash that is needed, and it's not going to tax billionaires, which let's assume they're not. What you won't get from us is a lot of hand-wringing. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, national government's made us do it, but there's £12 million of cuts. So that kid's mental health's getting, the lollipop ladies there are getting cut, and that park, the grass is not getting cut. We won't get that. What you'll get is a 40-foot banner down the side of the Civic Centre saying, these are the people responsible. And you know what? If you want to take our school crossing safety offers, we're all going to get in a bus as councillors and we're going to lie down outside Parliament and we're going to make a fuss. So you'll still get a fight back. It's a promise. And I keep my promises. I became a politician quite late. I was 48 before I was a politician. I know it doesn't look it. The all-out elections in Newcastle in 2018, there was an old friend and mentor of mine, sadly no longer with us, tried to persuade me to stand. And he said, Jamie, I've always taken the view that the role of a councillor is to be a shop steward for the community inside the council, not a cheerleader for the council inside the community. And I've always operated on that basis. Today's event was fantastic. The energy involved, hundreds of people out there sitting around their tables. And what we didn't do was have a big panel of celebrity lefties there to say, come in, because you know what happens, people hear the speakers and then they go. So we deliberately had it that, I mean, if you live in the Northeast, you can get in touch with me anytime. So I'm not that big a draw. I'm actually a bigger draw outside the Northeast. So the people who were here wanted to take part. And there was a point at which I was just looking out, and everybody on every single table was either listening or the one talking. People were genuinely participating. So what that does is that brings in together all that lived experience from different communities, different issues. People often work in the services who know how they could be improved as well. And that creates us the platform to, have to be boiled down as messaging, to get out there, get a coalition together and win, and then implement it. You know, when you say it like that, it sounds quite simple. Go roll up your sleeves and do the work then. Today's event was great. It was packed out. There was loads of people bringing in their ideas. And the most encouraging thing is that, yes, everybody thinks we should have a wealth tax. I mean, 78% of the British public think we should have a wealth tax. But people were saying things like, and I heard them out there, right, what we need to do is in that park fix these problems. And the buses could be better sorted if you integrated it in these particular ways. Real things that are going to improve people's lives. There's always a way. And it's the job of the progressive movement is to show how these things in front of you in your daily life track with big corporations lobbying government, track with billionaires' wealth extraction, and the fact that we do need to have a wealth tax to make sure that money is redeployed, and so that clarity of we're working at this at both ends is really important. But we're going to start here from the ground up. People talk about culture wars, and actually the solution to this is listening to people and hearing what they're saying and not projecting your opinions onto them. I was in Ferry Hill, a small town in County Durham, the definition of a left behind town. I was talking to someone and they were saying, those people over there in Spennymoor, and you can see it, it's 3 miles away down a hill, they've got a Sainsbury's. And it's that feeling of, why is no one listening to us? And you talk to them, and actually they've got exactly the same concerns. Why isn't my bus on time? Why is it so bloody expensive? Why is it there's so much month left at the end of the money? Looking in their supermarket trolley thinking, I used to be able to buy twice this much. And why is it that there's some bloke on the telly telling me that we're all in this together, or that it's all somebody else's fault, when I know he's the one in charge, he's supposed to be fixing it? And you talk to people like that and they get it. So there was a guy I was talking to, leafleting for this event, and he says, I think I'm going to vote for reform. Why is that? He says, Nigel Farage's confused. He says, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with him on immigration. If the immigrants went, the country would collapse and the health service wouldn't work. Why do you like him? Why is he the only one shouting? And honestly, that's it. You've got to stand up and fight. You've got to be honest. But reforming County Durham, they're already resigning, some of them. You know, they're going to collapse. They're not going to fix anything. And that's what really matters. So it's what people want when they look at politicians. What the voting public want is two things. One, do I think these people could run the country? Two, have these people got my back? And it's as simple as that. And that's the whole point of a detailed manifesto. It's going to fix something. My track record is someone who not only ran an arm of government, but even my opponents said I did it well. That's the sort of the thing we've got to get to. Yeah, so yes, be angry, but have a plan that works. The Canary's great. Watch the Canary, subscribe to the Canary, and read the articles, especially the ones from Jamie Driscoll.